Your Working World is proudly brought to you by Services SETA, Sector Education and Training Authority, ensuring that the skill needs for every sector of the South African economy are identified and that training is available to provide for these skill needs.
John Botha, consultant at Global Business Solutions and Chief Operations Officer from KPIS, joins me in studio to look at how he survives as an employee in this industry. John, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Ava.
Are your days challenging?
Absolutely, Ava. They're extremely challenging days, but also very motivating and fulfilling days.
How did you get started?
Ava, actually by chance. I finished school and I applied for a bursary, which I received from Sasol, to study a BCom honours degree at University of Natal, Durban. And that's really how I got started, purely because I was funded to study that particular discipline.
And you've been in the industry for a good period of time?
For about 17 years. Yeah.
17 years?
Yes, yes.
So is this a decent work industry? I mean, are there good employers in this industry?
I think, generally speaking, it is a decent industry. I think every industry has some challenges, but it depends on what the nature and extent of your function is. If you're an employee of a large organization, of course, generally you would have the benefits that go along with that.
Let's just unpack that, because I mean, someone who wants to get into this industry needs to understand that they're either going to get a job in a company that's not about labor relations, but maybe is about wholesale and retail or a Pick and Pay or a Checkers or something, but they're going to work in the labor relations field. Or alternatively, they can go into a dedicated labor relations company, which is a specialized consultancy.
Absolutely, Ava. I think those are the two broad options. And I think your personality and your risk profile as an individual will dictate which direction you go in.
Explain that a little more.
If you're going to go into labor relations based firms where that's the core business, I think you've got to understand that generally you're going to have a basic salary with a commission driven component, because clearly that's the core business of the organization. You're going to be consulting to a range of clients, so you've got to have the personality that will drive you and be self-driven every day to get up, look for business, keep the pipeline full, and then to deliver at very high service levels.
And it can be quite a lonely business going that route.
It is lonely, Ava. You do a lot of traveling generally when you reach a certain level. You're on your own. You're updating and renewing your own knowledge on a regular basis. So you really have to drive yourself, and you've got to be a person who really just seeks challenges and a person who is tenacious and actually works incredibly long hours.
And the alternative route is really a specialized human resource practitioner, isn't it?
Correct, Ava, and that's the route that I followed initially. I was fortunate, as I said, to have a bursary. I then had to work this bursary back in the labor relations department at Sasol, and it was an incredibly good field in order to learn. You start off as a junior, you learn through other people who are subject matter experts. You learn from their experience. And slowly but surely I worked myself into a specialist labor relations role where I was negotiating with trade unions, and then from there effectively pulled out to the side and thought I really want to make a career of the labor relations side, and therefore started working with Global Business Solutions.
So John, your message really is about saying to someone who's thinking about coming into this industry, don't want to be a consultant too soon. In other words, there's a learning process you have to go through before you're prepared and you're mature enough really to become a consultant in this field.
Ava, absolutely, and I'd recommend that to anyone considering this field or a career in this particular regard, because you really have to gain experience in a very structured environment where you're exposed to a lot of different situations. I think people that come into the consulting arena too soon may not make it, because firstly they're not well networked, they don't have the confidence, and they also don't have the range of exposure to different situations, which could place them at a disadvantage.
John, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Ava.
Your Working World was proudly brought to you by Services CETA, Sector Education and Training Authority, ensuring that the skill needs for every sector of the South African economy are identified and that training is available to provide for these skill needs.